This has been a terrible week for Canadians in Gaza. Many have had to move because of issues, structural damage, et cetera, on buildings. We are reassuring them that we're working really closely with our allies and with the UN to be able to ensure that all of the right documentation is in place to be able to leave. So we are also being realistic, which is that we are going to have a very short period of time to notify people when that opportunity arises. So we will continue to work to support their exit in a very volatile and fast-moving situation on the ground. Thanks.
Thank you. And my follow-up is just about the demand for flights. Yesterday, someone had mentioned a bump up in demand over 24 hours. I guess I'm just wondering if that's stabilized, if it's increased, or if that's actually gone down to the still high baseline that we had 2 days ago.
Yeah, so it's still going up in terms of the demand for flights, but what we're finding, though, is that people are finding other routes out. I recognize we gave you higher numbers yesterday. We had a number of no-shows at the airport, and our assessment is that individuals have found alternate routes out and are trying to get out as quickly as possible. But right now, I have close to 1,300 individuals in Israel who are seeking assistance. Thanks.
Tonda McCharles, Toronto Star.
Actually, I might have just clarified that. So when you said earlier about 2,200 Canadians seeking help or have asked for help of the registered folks, they're not all seeking flights, is what you're saying. 1,300 are seeking flights. Is that right?
So when I'm saying 2,000 Canadians who are seeking, 2,200 Canadians who are seeking our assistance, in Israel, I'm saying there's 1,300 of those 2,200. In Gaza, I've said there's a further 150. In the West Bank, we're looking at 190 individuals. And then we have almost 600 people whose location is not clear to us, and we're reaching out to try to confirm that because it wasn't provided when they registered.
Right, but are they asking, those 600 who you don't know where they are they asking for help to fly out or documents or I guess what I'm trying to understand
They're asking for the most part for help flying out, but again, people's situations change, and they may have been on our list from 3 days ago and found another route out. So we're validating that list. So last night, for example, the Emergency Watch Center made 1,000 calls. We keep adjusting our numbers, taking people off the list, adding other people to the list. So it is very much in motion. We also had an additional 600 people reach out to us last night and add themselves to the list. So the numbers are constantly in flux.
Can you elaborate on the kinds of conversations and meetings the minister has had today in Israel? Who's she met with, who's she talked to, and also what conversations, if any, or what information, if any, you can share on whether any of the 4 missing Canadians are indeed hostages. Secretary Blinken today said that the U.S. is working on American hostage release in Gaza. Is the Canadian minister doing that?
Maybe I'll take the first part of the question on the minister's very short trip to Israel and her interactions. So she spent only a few hours on the ground in Israel, arrived early afternoon, Tel Aviv time a few hours ago. She had an opportunity to meet with Canadians departing for Athens, but after that had a bilateral meeting with her counterpart, Foreign Minister Cohen. As I've said in my opening remarks, the primary purpose was really to get firsthand account, and it was a very personal way and human way of looking at the impact of the crisis, of the attacks. Minister Cohen shared some video and photographic evidence of the massacres perpetrated by Hamas, and then of course they had a conversation about Canadians in West Bank, and Minister Joly asked for assistance in facilitating their departure, which her counterpart said Israel would do what they could to assist. And they, of course, talked about the humanitarian situation in Gaza, and the minister conveyed the government's expectation that that civilians be protected and that all measures be taken to help them. She has since left Israel. She landed about 20, 30 minutes ago in Amman, Jordan.
Rafi Boudjikanian, CBC News.
Thanks very much. Hi. I was wondering if, just on this evacuation through Egypt, how cooperative is the Egyptian government being on this? Because they have said they don't want Palestinians to get into Egypt. And also, are you talking to Israel about it to get their cooperation to have this evacuation window tomorrow?
So any evacuation into Egypt requires the cooperation of both Egypt and Israel. And so we are engaged. So our representative of Canada and Ramallah, who I mentioned earlier, is engaged with Israel in terms of ensuring that we have green lights for the Canadians departing and their family members. And we are also working with Egypt to ensure that they also have that. So our mission in Cairo is busy doing that. Again, there's a lot of information. It's changing continuously. But right now we're just very focused on having a window potentially tomorrow. That could change. But working really in earnest to take advantage of it if it does arise.
Thanks. And Hamas is claiming that 13 hostages have died, including foreigners. Do you have any sense of whether there could be Canadians among them?
I can't comment on any of those cases. As I mentioned earlier, we have 3 deaths of Canadians that we have noted, but beyond that, I don't have any additional information.
Kyle Duggan, Politico.
Hi, I have a couple of questions about the flights. Are you working with other countries in terms of filling these planes with people from countries that are also trying to get their citizens out?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, we always collaborate, cooperate with our partners. We have a daily call with our Five Eyes partners right now to look at what everyone's doing and where there might be options to support each other. We also, of course, have a much broader group, and this was a group that we worked very effectively with in the evacuation in Sudan, where we had lots of Canadians leaving on European flights and lots of Americans and others leaving on Canadian flights. So our objective is to ensure that we're supporting each other where we can. Right now, though, for our flights, the focus is predominantly on Canadians, permanent residents, and their family members.
In the future, they need to, you need to fill space on the flights. Is that something that you're considering?
Where we're not taking a seat from a Canadian, of course, we will consider supporting our allies in their efforts as well.
And I just wanted to know a little bit of clarity around what people who are being evacuated are on the hook for. So I understand that they are coming back to Canada at their own expense through the Air Canada flights. But are there other fees that they might face, consular fees or anything like that? Are there anything that needs to be waived?
To my knowledge, there's no fees that would need to be waived. As we're saying, CAF and the Government of Canada is covering the evacuation flight to Athens. We are helping people secure hotels, et cetera, but onward travel and is at the expense of the Canadians.
Steve Chase, Globe and Mail.
Hi. What concerns does the Canadian government have about the evacuation order that Israel has issued to residents of northern Gaza?
We're very concerned about the well-being of civilians in Gaza, as I mentioned earlier. And that's why in the government's communication with the government of Israel, we have conveyed this and conveyed our expectations that civilian populations be protected.
My second question is the Rafah border crossing. Just to sort of sum up, are you telling Canadians in Gaza to be ready to cross the Rafah border crossing tomorrow between 12 and 5?
We will be making Canadians aware that there is a possibility, but we are not going to tell Canadians to move until we know that that is a possibility and we have confirmation that these individuals can get across that border. The last thing we want is Canadians getting stuck at a border. That border, there are a number of security challenges at all the borders into Gaza. We know that there have been bombs at both borders in the last week. So just to flag, we will provide that information. It will likely be very short notice, and we will be reaching out to people who are fully approved to cross that border.
Tom Perry, CBC News.
Yeah, on that, are you working with other countries on this? Is it specifically Canadians who can get out? Is it other nationalities who can come out? Like, what kind of work is going into that?
So, absolutely. I mean, there are many other countries with nationals in Gaza. We are all engaged. We are working in collaboration with the UN, with the Egyptian authorities. So everybody is working on this. Yeah, it will not just be Canadians. That said, we were very pleased today that the minister was able to meet with Foreign Minister Cohen and get reassurances that there would be assistance and attention to Canadians who are seeking to depart.
At this point, though, I mean, what assurances do you have? Because it still sounds fairly tentative.
100% it is very tentative, yeah. Until we know for certain that that border is open during those hours and that we know who is approved to move across, there is a lot of uncertainty around this, yes.
Who have you gotten assurances from? I mean, what can you tell us about? Like, what are you hearing?
Excellent. Do you want to
So are you referring to
Well, if you're getting assurances from somebody that this gate is going to be open between 12 and 5, who's telling you that? Who are you getting assurances from that this is even a possibility?
Are we talking about Gaza or about the West Bank? About Gaza. This is communication that has been conveyed to our embassy in Cairo from the Egyptian government in coordination with the Israeli government.
We're going to go online now. Melanie Marquis, if you want to unmute yourself.
Pardon. Je veux poser une question par rapport aux critères d'accès pour les vols d'évacuation. C'est un cas particulier qui a été porté à notre attention. Une femme dont le mari est israélien, dont le premier enfant a une citoyenneté canadienne et israélienne, mais dont le deuxième enfant a seulement une citoyenneté israélienne. Est-ce que cette famille-là aurait dû être acceptée à bord d'un vol parce qu'on leur a dit qu'ils ne pouvaient pas, qu'ils ne remplissaient pas les critères? Est-ce que c'est normal?
All right, so we're getting this brief.
Je pense que j'ai bien compris la question. Si on a une famille où il y a peut-être une femme ou un mari qui ne soit pas canadien, mais l'époux est canadien, bien sûr, ils auraient l'accès au vol avec leurs enfants. Puis on travaille étroitement avec les affaires mondiales pour être bien certaine que tout le monde a tout ce qu'il faut en tout ce qui concerne les documents.
OK, mais ce que je
All
vous
right,
dis,
that's the very latest from Global Affairs Canada.